Hello, everyone, friends. Today, a piece of news has emerged that could truly change the agenda regarding Bitcoin. The news you see right now has really started to be seriously discussed in the market. On the first day of the Bitcoin 2026 conference held in Las Vegas, the price of Bitcoin has risen to nearly $79,000. So, it's not just a small move, there's serious momentum here. So, why did this rise happen? Let's take a look at that together. According to the news, there are a few main reasons for this. First, there are significant inflows of money on the ETF side. In other words, institutions are still continuing to inject money into the market. Second, there is now an expectation of some easing on the geopolitical front. This also increases interest in risky assets. Third, and perhaps most importantly, more positive signals have started to come from the regulatory side. In other words, the government side doesn't seem as restrictive as before. This also reassures the market. Now, here's the important part. This conference is actually not just an event. The statements, speeches, and developments that take place here every year can directly affect the price of Bitcoin. In fact, we've seen many similar movements in the past, such as price increases before the conference and sell offs afterward. So, from here, there are two possibilities. Either this hype continues and Bitcoin jumps above 80,000, or the classic scenario plays out, the news gets sold and a pullback follows. To summarize briefly, friends, Bitcoin has risen up to $79,000. Institutional money inflow continues. Regulations are easing, but volatility after the conference will be inevitable. In my opinion, while everyone here is caught up in the hype, everyone definitely needs to be a bit more cautious. Now, friends, without wasting much time, let's move on to the chart analysis. Now, as you can see, Bitcoin is currently trading at $77,944. So, after the 79,000 attempt, we're seeing a slight pullback. Actually, this is a very classic move in the market because what happens? An upward movement comes, everyone gets caught up in the hype. Then short term profit taking starts. Now, what's important at this level is this: the 78,000 range is currently acting as a critical support. If Bitcoin manages to hold above this level, it's perfectly normal for us to see another upward attempt, especially if we get closes above 78,500 and a breakout with volume. We could see a move again toward the 79,000, 80,000 region. But let's also look at the other scenario. If this support is broken, well, that's when things start to get a bit worse for Bitcoin. The first stop becomes the 75,000 range. If that doesn't hold either, the 72 to 73,000 region comes into view. So, in the short term, the possibility of a further pullback is also on the table. Now, the psychological aspect of the situation is more important. Right now, everyone in the market is in the is 80,000 coming mode. That's the current mood. This usually leads to one of two things: either a sharp breakout or, on the contrary, a strong fake move. In my opinion, Bitcoin still looks strong right now, but it's definitely not a place to rush in. For a clearer direction, we can either wait for a very strong breakout or a nice pullback. To briefly summarize, Bitcoin is currently trading at $77,000. As I said, the critical support is $77,000. The upward target is 79 or 80,000, and if it breaks that level, I'm sure it will make an upward move. The downside risk zone is 75,000 and 72,000. So if it breaks 75,000, I think it will drop to 72,000. So it might be a good idea to act a bit more cautiously during this period. It's not a good thing to get caught up in excessive FOMO because of the news, so make sure you invest consciously. What I say is definitely not investment advice. These are entirely my own market analyses and personal opinions that I have developed over the years. In other words, this is not investment advice. Always prioritize your own judgment. That's all for today. Take care of yourselves. Have a good day.